Is the idea of education in India, the aim of education and learning, increasingly becoming only employment? If that is one issue that we're looking at, the other issue is why is there an increasing mismatch between what students entering the job market expect and what those employing them are hoping to find? Why are we not having a meeting of the minds, as it were? Is this gap only going to grow wider if we don't try and step in and fix it immediately? That's what we're looking at today. A very special panel with us. Let me introduce them right away. I'm joined by Rituparna Chakravarti, Senior Vice President, Team Leave Services in Bangalore. This is one of India's leading providers of human resource services in the organized segment, delivering a broad range of human resource services to various industries. Also with me in Delhi, Jagdish Mitra. He is Chief Strategy and Marketing Officer at Tech Mahindra, and Vivek Madhukar, Chief Operating Officer at timesjob.com. Thanks all so much for taking our time to speak to us today. Vivek Madhukar, if I could first ask you, increasingly we have students who come to us and say, I've got all these degrees, I'm going to get into MBA. Most of them do seem to have MBAs or aspiring to it. And I thought I was going to start with I had a certain image of my first job and what it was going to be. And now when I put myself out there, nothing is meeting my expectation. Why is this happening? And suddenly, to our knowledge, it seems to be happening a lot more and across sectors.
Right.
What do you believe is the reason for this?
Two parts in this. One is the expectation that a person has. When he actually joins a job is the first time that he has that, he has a reality touch on it, which itself is a problem. If in his 2 years of MBA or in his 3 years of graduation, if he had greater interaction with the industry, he would probably know what he would, he should expect. The other is, the inputs that have gone in the, the 5 years of education post school. Are they matching up to what the industry expects? So here a person goes in thinking he's, a gift to mankind.
Right.
And the company feels that this guy doesn't know ABCD.
Right.
So basic communication skills, etiquettes, or the basic thing of working in an office, those are things, some part could be imparted,
Right.
and some part is what a person would bring himself up to page.
Sure.
I think these two are the large gap areas, and basically in the 5 years of education, if you're not getting any exposure to what is going to be the real world, you will always face a challenge when you finally reach there.
Right. Jagdish Mitra, there is obviously a disconnect. Now, coming in from corporate view, from someone who sort of knows how it works from the employer end of it and sort of is involved in the larger space, do you believe that we're doing anything to sort of stop operating in silos, the corporate sector or, employers working with what they believe, the kind of people they should hire, and all these youngsters who are sort of getting all ready and with these big dreams wanting to change the world in their eyes? And why can't we have a better integration? What's missing?
Well, let me answer the first part. I think the positive part is that I see a lot of universities, colleges, some not that well branded, but aspiring to be well branded, taking that effort to see how do they connect with the industry. So we, for example, in Tech Mahindra have similar associations with people, both in engineering schools here in India and abroad, as well as business schools.
If I could just interrupt you, Jagdish Mitra, sir, do you believe then the onus is largely on the corporates, is largely on the employers to sort of get them up to scratch? Like they should be prepared that there's going to be effort that they're going to need to put in. Don't expect a ready package is going to come and be a perfect fit to the organization. Or does it sort of depend? I mean, how does one see this?
Well, I think the onus lies on both sides. So if I constantly see that an A college is where I can go and make sure my training requirements and the cost of training that I'm putting together and the readiness of the person to be able to be, effectively used by the corporation, then I would go there. And if I would go and see a company or a corporation or a university where I'm picking up people and I have to go through this whole period of training them, and they could be all brilliant people, but the time it takes. So that's what I was trying to make a point, that there are colleges who are making that effort, engaging us way ahead into their curriculum.
Early on, right. Time is of the essence. By the time they get out there, you have to have them ready. Right. Rituparna, as somebody who's involved so closely with human resources, there are lots of people who sort of, say that after a point, a couple of months down the line, or maybe a couple of years, they tend to get frustrated. Again, there is a mismatch between the skills that they believe they have and skills that jobs require. What does one do? What do HR managers do in those situations? What do corporates do? What do companies and employers do in those situations to try and get the best out of the people that you have at hand?
Sure. I'm going to step a little back and start from where you started the conversation as to what really is the problem. Our 14 years, experientially, we have learned there are three problems. One is about matching. How do I get the right person in front of the right job? And we thought we fixed it. We've got so many kids out there who don't have jobs. And we've identified employers who are looking for them. But however, very soon in our journey in Team Leads, we realized that's not enough because out of 8,000 open positions monthly, we can fill only 3,000 of them. So I think we soon realized that there's something else going on. And what's going on is there is a huge skill deficit which exists, is an unemployability challenge. So we said, okay, let's solve that by repairing them. So let's put them through a last mile intervention, and I think we'll be able to solve that problem. I think we invested in a series of network of training institutes. Let's manufacture our own people. But I think we soon realized that you can't teach these kids in 3 months what they've not learned in 12 years. So hence there is a problem in the prepare process, which is essentially our education system. Because the National Occupation Code data is very clear on that. I mean, our education system is actually every year doling out kids with knowledge. So 90% of our kids who are coming out have knowledge. However, 90% of the jobs out there require skills and zero knowledge.
That's really is at the heart of the problem. Our education system, how it's geared up to, do we actually need to go back to school and then engage better with industry starting then, and then, you know, have some idea what the student wants to do? Increasingly, like I said, we've got students writing in to say, for instance, I want to do an MBA, not because I believe that, you know, I have skills or because it's going to get me the best job. I need an MBA to succeed in India. So we've now got, we've sort of created this bubble, if I may call it that, where if you believe in, you have an MBA, it's a ticket to success. But that's not the truth, is it? I mean, unless if you're doing an MBA, and given the vast number of Indian students who are, then either you've got to be very, very good, and I guess it would really help if you went to one of the top institutions.
Yeah, obviously, you know, the top institutions give you a ticket to, you know, a different level of opportunity. But generally, if you just take MBA as a degree, then it doesn't give you a ticket to anywhere. Frankly, what people need when they're actually recruiting from an MBA college are, again, soft skills. If these soft skills are brought in, or the person is able to develop these soft skills of communication, you know, team working and things like that, then there is an opportunity, you know, that a person could take. But bulk of these people who pass out of MBA colleges, hoping that they'll have big opportunities, and after they've spent a reasonable amount of money, are not really getting the opportunities which the top-rung institutes are giving to their students. But that success bias is always there, you know, when a person is deciding on what education course to do.
So what do I do which has the biggest package? And all our headlines are usually taken over by these campus placements where people get big tickets.
One guy who's got a very big package results in 1 lakh guys going into
Absolutely. That's
opportunity which doesn't really work.
That one guy and 1 lakh. Yes, Ritu Panda, very quickly, you know, we keep talking about soft skills, and there are all those horrific surveys, the last one from British Council really saying that they're just over 30% of employable graduates in India, and what's holding them back is again communication. They of course focused on English speaking skills, but really communication being the big problem. How much of a barrier really are these so-called soft skills to getting this right match that you spoke about going?
I think our experience shows that English and computing skills are completely the operating system that every kid needs to be pretty much going out into the job market with. These are key asks, while, I mean, there are options for ones without, but even if you're looking at a job of a delivery guy, that guy needs to be able to read the invoice that he's, the consignment he's delivering. And I think let's not wishy-washy around this fact that these two aspects are right now given. Like even why basic computing is required. The world is moving to a very mobile-driven culture or mobile-driven I mean, everything would be mobile driven, and hence the basic awareness or basic knowledge of these tools are absolutely essential.
You are, of course, looking at a very different kind of student. Rituparna perhaps talking about another kind of sort of student coming from different institutions, different parts of India. But this is, again, the soft skills. We come back to soft skills because very often just coming from a reputed institution doesn't really arm you with these soft skills that you need. What in your experience are the key areas where you found students lacking?
Well, I think a couple of things, just to step back a little bit, and Rituparna made that point, but I have a little different view on it. One is obviously the lack of building people with skills. I don't think having knowledge is wrong. You definitely need knowledge, otherwise you won't know where to use the skills.
I think what she perhaps meant was that knowledge supplemented by something more.
What I would rather feel is that you probably too much stress on qualification. So we tend to say that, if I do need this guy for this job, he needs to be a qualified engineer in this degree or a computer science graduate in this area. And like I think the second point she made, that some of these things are becoming hygiene. So if you want to work in today's world, you probably have to be very digitally aware. And secondly, you have to be extremely good at your communication skills. So the challenge we face, and that's what I was talking to you about when we talk to academic institutes who we partner with. And what we've decided is broadly saying that you can't do this with thousands of them. We hire a lot of people, but we got to be able to focus on 50, 60 institutes around India and world. So I find a lot of focus, especially in the northern part of India, on communication and kind of sales and marketing oriented jobs. People tend to be wanting to do those jobs. They are more outgoing. It's probably a lot more to do with a little more of the DNA part of this part of the world. And in the south or in the east, you'll find probably people a lot more focused on wanting to be really good at technology or stuff that they know. There's nothing wrong in it. But you have to look for the right jobs in those careers than if you're skillful in that skill.
Rituparna, would you like to just rejoin that in any way? Would you like to respond to that in any way?
Yeah, I mean, like your question about who should take responsibility, I think it's responsibility of the government, responsibility of the corporates, and to some extent parents, the society at large. And I think there are initiatives which are being taken. And one of the bravest moves that I've seen the government doing is having the Ministry of Skills in place. That is a signal, because skills and jobs are really horizontals. They are not verticals, which earlier the government was organized at. And also the focus on MOOCs, the focus on apprenticeship. Now, one of the ways that we can actually make use of the talent which is there, or the graduates or the undergraduates, is that they come with some basic awareness. Why don't we just spread them across all our corporates in this country? If every corporate takes 50 apprenticeship training, you will see the trend changing. Unfortunately, this Apprenticeship Act of 1961, it has done no good. We have just got 3 lakh apprentices in the country, when by and large, if I compare to Germany, I should have at least 15 to 20 million apprentices in this country.
And Germany is a good example, because when the Prime Minister goes to Germany, he talks about learning from the German example. Don't just spend 5 days in the classroom, spend 3 days in the classroom, 2 days on the shop floor. Basically get your hands dirty there. There's a lot of knowledge to be gained from those books, from classroom learning, but you need to get out there if you need to be job ready. Is that the kind of model that we should be looking at here in India as well? One more minute, Rituparna, I'll just come back.
Yeah, so there, obviously that's where we want to get to, but it's not going to happen really quickly. I think the part which we could get moving quicker is, instead of getting all the students into the industry, at least get the academicians into the industry. So they have some idea of what's required out there, and it'll be faster to move or direct these guys to train the people in the classroom on what is required by the industry, because I think the first level of mismatch is there itself. So here in India, you don't have a lot of people from the industry moving back into academics, and a lot of people from the academics moving into the industry.